Hello, welcome back to the Masonic Roundtable, a weekly program where Masons from around the world get together to talk about Masonic news and opinions in a friendly and social manner. As a reminder, the thoughts and opinions expressed here are solely the opinions of the participants and do not represent any Grand Lodge statements or positions. Make sure you keep your conversations open for the public and on the level. To interact with us, we love seeing you every Thursday night, so hop up in the chat on Facebook or on YouTube, and we always have a good time there. And remember, your chats might make it onto the show. And if you can't catch us live, you can always catch the replays or on your favorite podcasting app. You know me, my name is John Ruark. I am a past master of the Patriot Lodge number 1957 in Fairfax, Virginia. All right, next up for his introduction, Joe Martinez. How's it going, Joe?
Wow, I'm never next. You threw me for a loop.
I did.
Hello, namaste, and welcome. Joe Martinez. Let's see, still worshipful master of Manasseh Lodge number 182, member in a whole bunch of other places, and not in an undisclosed location like John. So, damn glad to be here.
Yes. All right. Super cool. And next up for his introduction, Jason Richards. How's it going, Jason?
It's good. How are you, John?
I am great. Yes, I am on travel, but having a good time. Wouldn't miss the show.
Yeah. Unlike Robert.
Who's
out tonight. My name is Jason Richards. I'm past master of Acacia Lodge number 16 in Clifton, Virginia, and current honorary Tyler of Manasseh Lodge 182 in Manassas, Virginia.
Emeritus for life.
I mean, I'm okay with being Tyler Emeritus for Manasseh. It's fine.
At least until December.
From Antarctica.
Antarctica. Wow. Awesome.
It's pretty cool.
We got to do that again.
I don't know. Doug might keep me outside the door next year. We'll see.
I was kind of looking forward to sitting outside.
No, okay, you can. That's fine.
And I think we'll still have our Tyler Emeritus, but yeah.
I can take it. Like, you don't love me. I get it.
I do.
Uh-huh.
But anyway,
right, let's shout out to the patrons. You guys rock my socks. So
we love
if you
you.
Want to support the show, head over to patreon.com/the Masonic Roundtable and keep this education going for many years to come.
Woo! Yeah.
Or until it stops being fun.
Yes.
We're almost 10 years in.
Don't not do it.
10 years
later.
And
it's still fun.
It's still fun. All right. It's that time again. Tarot card of the week. Jason, what deck are you pulling from today?
All right. Tonight, we have the Golden Black Cat Tarot.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's pretty and it's huge, which means it's a royal pain in the booty to shuffle. But
there's some big black cards.
It's not the size, it's your intuition.
Yes.
And how you use them. So, all right. So going over to the handy dandy tarot cam with our awesome TMR coaster.
Ooh.
Let's see. What do we got here? Ooh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
We've got the Two of Wands. Look at that.
Oh, nice.
So Two of Wands, recognizing that you've got a choice to make.
Mm-hmm.
You know, wands are associated with the element of fire, often emblematical of manifestation and creation. And
spiritualism.
Yes, absolutely.
Project management, manifestation, creation.
I mean,
so you have a choice to make.
Discovery, yeah, like go out and discover something. It'd be awesome.
Yeah, twos are always those binary ones where you get like the Lovers, you get the Two of Swords, the Two of Wands. They're always ones for me that are like you got a hard choice to make. Like unlike the Two of Swords where she's blindfolded.
Yep.
Right. Where it's like you're stopping yourself. You're holding yourself back from making a choice. Two of Wands is much more active, right? Like, okay, you have a choice to make. You better go make a good one.
Well, and you see the cat essentially has the world in his paw, right? And so it's really like you're between two paths, but you can really manifest your own destiny across the world and the universe.
I love it.
Cool.
Boom.
Cool. Well, thanks for that.
No problem.
All right. Tonight's topic. So this is one that's kind of interesting. Something that's bothered me for quite a while, which is how come things don't always line up the way they're supposed to be done, or the way they're said they're done, or the way we're told they should be.
So you know what grinds my gears?
Right. So it's just so strange because the more you start going deeper down this Masonic rabbit hole, and the longer you're a Mason, you start finding things that may not always be as they seem, may contradict the ritual, believe it or not. So tonight we're going to explore some of those. Some of them are jurisdictional. Some of those are just flat out curiosities of our fraternity. So let's dive into it. Joe, you want to pick one to start with, and we'll get all fired up?
Oh yeah, let's do it. All right, so let's start with an annoying one: aprons.
I do wear aprons.
So all of us here are travelers, and we travel to other jurisdictions, and we love to do Masonry in other places.
Yes.
We've all been in many lodges across many jurisdictions in this nation, overseas. We've traveled. So we get to wear our aprons in a lot of places. And my biggest pet peeve is that no one has decided how to wear their apron in a Masonic lodge. You go to some places and they wear them outside their coats or outside their jackets.
Right.
And some other places, like in Virginia, they wear them inside the coats and inside the jackets. Mm-hmm. So yeah. So if we're all supposed to be the same,
yeah,
why are there so many different ways to wear?
We are a universal brotherhood with lots of different ways to do it.
Yeah, brotherhood and name only sometimes. Yeah. The past 2 times that I have gone out of state to present, I have been informed, in one case rather rudely, that I was wearing my apron incorrectly. And
what?
Just so you're aware, like, that's not a way to like make friends with the speaker.
I know one of those times.
Yeah. Like, no, the latest one in Colorado, the master made a comment. And I serve at the will and pleasure of the master of his lodge.
Well, that's nice, but I've had people that have come to lodges in Virginia to come visit, and they wear their aprons, how they want, and this, that, and the other thing. And the common consensus I've seen, and I've been to many jurisdictions, and so have you guys, is for the most part, unless you get a cranky dude that wants to be in your face, is you wear your apron according to the rules of your jurisdiction.
Interesting, because I've heard the opposite.
Because you're not a prick as master.
I've heard just the opposite. My mentor early on said, "You do the when in Rome, play what do what Romans do."
It's true.
And so you just kind of look around and follow along, right? So,
but you're still not a Roman, right? So you're still like a Philistine when you walk into that, right? So you're not a Roman. You don't get to sit at the big boy table and make decisions and vote and things. You are a guest. So do you act like a guest, or do you act like a member?
A diplomat. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which then related, right? You have the opposite's true. Or usually, most jurisdictions, they will have a separate formal ceremony, like for public events, cornerstone laying, parades, that kind of thing. And you might find that to be the opposite case of what they wear in a tiled lodge versus then they would do the opposite. So again, in Virginia, we wear our aprons under our coats,
except
tiled lodge, except for
public ceremonies that take place
my point.
Outdoors.
Right. So so that's kind of strange. But then the opposite's true in other jurisdictions. And you're muted, Joe.
It wasn't me this time.
I know. I actually like Virginia's rule because
that was James.
Mother Hubbard. You're gonna get me to really not go PG-13 here. Yes.
No, as you were saying before, you
I
so
don't know.
rudely muted yourself twice in a row.
Yeah. Okay.
Might happen again.
So you've been in other jurisdictions, Joe.
Yeah.
You've been
I
all
told-
around those jurisdictions.
Right. So that was my point. Yeah. So, Virginia. Are there any other jurisdictions besides Virginia where you wear it on the inside? Have y'all been to one?
I'm trying to think. Okay, so that's good for if you're watching the show. Throw it in the chat.
Yeah. Chime in.
When you're in lodge, is it under or over? So something to think about. We'll watch that. We'll keep.
Brother Mo said Israel. They wear on the inside.
Oh, look at that.
There you go, Brother Mo, for the save. Florida, wear them on the inside. All places I'm gonna visit, because then I don't have to button my coat.
Indeed.
Yes.
Agreed.
New Hampshire, love it. Cool.
Okay. Well, while we're on the topic of aprons, there's also times during the ceremony, we're not going to give anything away, where we wear aprons differently as we go through the ceremonies. And
some are some real head scratchers.
Yeah, yes, they are. Where did this come from?
Really?
I don't even know.
Wait, you say
And
Master Masons wear them that way? Well, what? I don't see.
Right.
Okay.
So we were going to be vague on this, but I literally had a head scratcher. I went to we can talk about him because he's not here. I went to RJ's lodge a couple of weeks ago, and they did a Master Mason degree, and they did the apron correctly, and which cemented my anger over doing the apron incorrectly, right? Because it makes no damn sense, right?
Right.
You put this apron in this weird way, and then 10 minutes later, he's wearing it
as a tri-cornered hat.
You know,
you just gave all the secrets away.
Oh, I violated my obligation. Wait, which one? We'll get to that later.
Remember your oaths.
So yeah, I mean, and again, that's another thing I find extremely ironic. Again, if we're supposed to be a universal fraternity with recognition, we should at least get something as simple as how to wear your apron right. You know, that's a basic thing. It's kind of like the emblem of a
pseudo mode of recognition, right?
Yeah, you know. I think that.
Well, I mean, for me, what especially with this particular, not the just wearing them every day to meetings, because we know things change over time, but when did this actually diverge, right? Back in the day, like you've got your early 18th century Freemasonry. I'm sure people were doing kind of sort of similarly. Like, when did it diverge is my question.
Yeah, so I mean, what I would default back to is like A Mason's Words, right, by Robert Davis. When you look at how Preston and Webb were like just going up and down the coast and everything, trying to spread some ritual, right? How much of that got adopted? Because, you know, even us as traveling men, when we go to a different jurisdiction, like, oh, we use the same ritual as Virginia. And I'm like, well, that's not what I heard. Because it still changed a little bit. And so you wonder the 200, 300 year game of telephone, that once they started writing it down, then it becomes hard to trace.
Sorry, I thought you were done, but you're actually breaking up. We tend to forget too, we had this thing in the 1840s called the Baltimore Convention, right? And that where some people some jurisdictions got together and decided things for everybody else, and not all of them were there and not all of them were represented. So there were changes made there, you know, with grips and words and things, and, you know, just to spice things up and change it around, you know. So it could have been a byproduct of this wanting to change things around as well.
Agreed. All right, Jason, what's the next one?
So, you know, riding on the coattails of the Baltimore Convention of 1843, how about the fact that you are pronounced a brother at your entered apprentice degree? But at least in a bunch of jurisdictions, you can't attend the brothers' meetings until you're raised a Master Mason.
That's a good one. You're a second-class citizen.
Not necessarily.
Sort of.
I mean,
I see what he's saying. Well, it's that's a bigger contradiction in and of itself. I mean, we're both a member of a jurisdiction where they can meet for business on the entered apprentice degree.
Yep.
And your entered apprentices come in and they can take officer chairs and they can do most things that a master mason can do. But then we're also a member of a jurisdiction where everything happens in a master mason's lodge. Yeah, that's nice, but some of them, one pays dues and one doesn't there. So, I mean, that's the big difference there. I can't even pronounce that name. Yes. So whoever that was, yes, a brother is a brother until he gets a dues card. So
unless he's not, yeah.
But yeah, it's just I find it interesting that some jurisdictions will, and I think many jurisdictions now can open on a lower degree to do business and have it be more inclusive and things like that. But some are just not there yet.
Well, we're not talking about the jurisdictions that have to open on one degree and then go up and then go up again for a degree and then go down and down again.
That's boo.
That's so also how to waste 6 hours in the lodge.
Oh yeah, it takes a long time to go walk through those degrees.
Yeah.
Next one I want to talk about is temperance. Right, we teach about the Masonic virtue of temperance and how we have a stationed officer whose sole job is to promote temperance and keep an eye on the brothers. And Jason, your keyboard is so loud tonight. You are.
It is. It's like you're playing
Joe's rings. No clicks from Joe's rings. So anyway, yeah. So temperance, right? We have a stationed officer who's responsible for keeping an eye on the brethren and making sure that they don't have a little too much sauce at the after party or the festive board. But yet, in some jurisdictions, specifically, I'm thinking of Virginia, we are a dry jurisdiction. So we have except for table lodges.
Ritual.
Yes.
Ritual.
Yeah.
Right.
But we have in our bylaws that you can't even have alcohol on the premises. Means if you have a whole football field of property,
like Manasseh,
you can't have a closed alcoholic container all the way, on the other side of the field.
Yeah, do not have a 6-pack of beer in your trunk while you are parked in a parking lodge of the Masonic Lodge.
Yeah, so that there's an obvious contradiction there, right? Because then we all say, oh well, all the brothers just go leave lodge and go to the bar. Great. So then why can't we do that responsibly at the lodge, right?
Why have a junior warden?
Yeah, why have that as the responsibilities of the junior warden? Right? And then again, being traveling man, going to other jurisdiction where they not only have they imbibe after lodge, they also have it downstairs in their basement with a fully stocked bar, and it's a fantastic experience, right? Because they are being their brother's keeper, they are being responsible, and they look out for each other. And I think that's just a beautiful thing, and it works. So
no, I completely agree, and we've all been present in lodges where the fellowship is amazing, and we're all responsible for one another, and we don't act like idiots. So you're allowed to be a grown-up in the presence of alcohol and not do stupid crap. It's amazing. It happens infrequently, but in a Masonic lodge, it actually happens all the time. But yeah, I find that super interesting that it's in our ritual to be temperate, but it's impossible to be temperate when you're told no.
I mean, it's like abstinence-only education, right?
Yes. That's funny.
Right. And and I think I won't name individual jurisdictions, but I can speak for one that, the common misconception is that, it's a holdover from prohibition. No, it's not. I mean, a lot of some jurisdictions, have been dry since prohibition, and I get it. That's, it's a throwback to a time where it was illegal to drink in this country. But for a certain jurisdiction that I'm a member of, it became law in the 1980s. So somebody just got a wild bug up their butt and said, no mas alcohol. And so it has nothing to do with prohibition. It has nothing to do with alcohol being illegal. It's just somebody, like got a wild hair and ended the party. So, poop.
Indeed. Mm-hmm. All right, who wants the next one?
What's the next one?
Is it back to you, Joe? Or Jason?
Go ahead,
What?
Joe.
No.
Let's go with this one I just saw recently. So we're all Masons and we recognize one another.
Yes.
For the most part, in most regular Prince Hall jurisdictions, there is some sort of recognition.
Yep.
But if you travel to different jurisdictions and listen to degrees, you will hear slightly different obligations.
What?
Yeah. So
No way.
which is weird.
Sometimes quite different.
Yeah.
Entire sections missing. Looking at you, Pennsylvania.
Yes. And I just recently traveled to Illinois and I sat for a Master Mason's degree and there were some big chunks missing from there. And I was like, oh.
But we're all on the level, though.
Right.
Why there's so many of them.
Are we the same kind of Mason if we took different obligations?
Yeah, that just seriously, that one irks me just from the literalism part of it. That they took a different obligation, and so therefore, I'm not saying one is better or worse. I'm just saying there is an inequality that we are just going to look over. It's like, I'm trying to relate it. I mean, I guess a really bad metaphor here would be your local state driver's license gives you the ability to drive in other jurisdictions that may have different laws, right? So you passed your driving test that could allow for right turn on red, but in other states, they don't allow right turn on red. So, you're still allowed to drive. We're all on the same road together, but some people took different driving tests.
I will still make a right turn on red no matter where I am. So, because that's me. Because I got stuff to do and places to go. So.
Okay, then.
Yeah.
So that just, from a logistical standpoint, that just blows my mind. I don't know.
Well, and it causes problems on social media too, just from the standpoint of prevention.
How so, Jason?
Everything causes problems on social media.
You're not wrong. No, but we get the provincial Masons, as Nick Johnson liked to term them, in the Facebook groups. They're like, well, hey, I remember my obligation, but nobody else here does. It's always like, which one? It's kind of when someone's like, well, it's in the Bible, and I'm like, which translation?
Exactly.
Yes.
Good times. Good times.
Ooh, I got another thing about obligation.
Oh yeah.
There are some jurisdictions that for a while now have taken out major sections, like the penalties.
Yes.
That's right.
There are some jurisdictions, quite a few jurisdictions, and many overseas too, that no longer have the penalty aspect of the obligations there anymore.
What if it's an allegory?
Well, if it's a spirit of the obligation, well, can the spirit of something be binding upon you? Like if you think of the obligation as a contractual binding agreement with deity.
We're not legally married, we're just spiritually married. So, don't worry about it, hon.
Which is like the same
the
kind of rationale that is, it's the same rationale for why the Holy Bible in some jurisdictions must be on the altar. And you can't use, an empty book emblematical of, your preferred VSL. Because there's a binding contractual piece to that obligation.
Well, there you go. There's another contradiction. Right?
I'm just going to keep chomping my alligator hands.
I think...
hungry hippo.
Cuckoo kangaroo.
I think in Illinois, they were trying to bring up the addition to change some of the wording so it doesn't say the Holy Bible and allows the brethren of different faiths to hear the words that represent their VSL. So,
well, there are jurisdictions that use terms like volume of sacred law in place of an actual named scripture, which I think is inclusive and it doesn't disparage people. But the converse of that is you go to lodges that, and he's playing World of Warcraft again because I hear him on his keyboard. You've got jurisdictions that will.
I was typing back to none your business.
Oh, hi
But I'll stop.
Man, level 70 butt elf on WoW. Jason Richards.
Excuse me. I'm a rogue dark elf mistress. Thank you very much.
Anywho, I forgot my point. No, what I was saying was, what were we talking about?
You can't get my rogue dark
VSL.
Yes.
VSLs. Yeah.
DSLs.
Not DSLs. Yeah. So I mean, it's.
We all have broadband.
We've all been to lodges where it's extra dogmatic in the lodge room that night. You're like, am I in lodge or am I in like Sunday revival? Like, what's going on here? Like, you get the antithesis of, universality in certain lodges, and it's like this flavor that takes over the whole lodge. True. And it's like, where am I?
We are tolerant of all religions as long as they use the King James version of the Bible.
Because we are tolerant of all monotheistic, albeit Trinitarian religions in this particular jurisdiction. Yeah.
That meet on Sunday and have barbecue after. Boom.
Yeah. Yes. That do the full dunking, not the sprinkles. Yeah.
Jason, your next one.
Oh my goodness. Can we talk about the use of the square and compasses in your business? There are a number of jurisdictions, one of ours included, that has a prohibition on brethren using the square and compasses as part of their advertising for their business.
Yeah, so it makes sense. It makes perfect logical sense, right? We are not here to network. It helps us from a fraternity, but not to exploit the fraternity for financial gain.
Right. So profiting off of the craft, right? Profiting off of the square and compasses. I think we would generally agree that, you know, I mean, I'm all about capitalism, but not in a, in a, it's been a long day.
Exploitative way.
It's been a long day.
Yeah.
Not
in an exploitative way. Yes. Thank you, John.
I get the spirit of what you're saying, even if the words don't come out.
Yeah. It's been a long day.
But what about companies that Masons and lodges and Grand Lodges buy from? Why is it okay for them to?
Well, obviously, they don't ever use the square compass.
What if you make and sell regalia? What if you make and sell Masonic artwork and T-shirts? Like,
what if your name is J.P. Luther or McCoy's?
Right. I wasn't going to name names. We were all thinking them.
I didn't either. These are just friends of mine.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. That's such a huge contradiction. Like, we are okay and very okay with shelling out tons of money for apparel, but it all other forms of Masonic advertisement for a vocation or business are shunned. Even like I'm going to bring up Juan Sepulveda's Applied Freemasonry program, which is an excellent program to go through. He got and I believe continues to get a lot of flack and consternation. And he's called exploitative, and really, like, he's providing an incredible service to brothers and helping lift brothers up.
Yeah.
And that's wrong. Things
from it. Exactly.
Yeah, agreed.
Right. All right, I got another one.
Okay.
Yes. So yes, we all agree that is kind of a contradiction, that especially if you mass produce or mass sell Masonic items, then that's okay. But otherwise, for everybody else, that's a bad thing. Yeah. Back to the spirit of the law versus the letter of the law.
So, wait, before we do this,
okay,
can we talk about Kenneth Beeler's comment?
Okay, so if you are advertising and the money is going back to lodges, that should be okay. How much? right? Because this is still a for-profit company, I'm assuming, and there you are, advertising Masonic services. Then
yeah, if you're doing like, you know, Hiram's Plumbing, how much of that is going to charity or back to the lodge?
Right.
yeah, is that okay? And if so, how much? 100%? 90%?
And then, you know, if you're putting all of your money from your business back into the lodge, are you then violating your obligation because you're not taking care of, you know, the people who really need your money?
That's true.
Like
Good.
your wife.
Like your
Good question.
family. Yes.
Mhm. So that's good. It's a good question. Let's move on. There's another one that I found fascinating. So there I was reading. Yes, stop the skull hate.
Stop skull
There's
hate.
there's a Masonic contradiction right there. We love skulls, not because it's spooky and cool.
We should talk about that before
That's
we
it.
get to
Exactly.
John's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Preferred.
By all means, Dylan, interrupt. Mm-hmm.
So thanks, Dylan.
Are there skulls in masonry?
Thanks, Dylan.
Are there skulls in masonry? Well, there have been since the earliest 18th century tracing boards, John.
Yes. And before the first Grand Lodge in the United States was formed.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Like, you know, I think, you know, our historical knowledge, you know, especially among provincial Masons, is only back as far as they can remember. And when you don't actively take part in reading and preserving your history, like, you lose that ground truth and that knowledge. And so we have folks that swear up and down that the skull and the chamber of reflection is a York Rite innovation. Like, or you can go back to like the time when Masonry was founded.
Right, before York Rite
existed, right?
Before the 1750s, right.
So yeah, I mean it's I've thought about this a lot, and I have.
The
and
skulls say otherwise.
I didn't know you could think.
Yes. So you know, we all like to talk about how the glory days of Freemasonry really weren't the glory days of Freemasonry. Right? It's just when we had a lot of people and money and did fancy crap, right? So
it's because there was nothing else for people to do except like spend time with their families.
That being said, I don't think it's the fault of those people why we're having issues with emblems of mortality, shall we say. Because when they joined the craft, all of this was gone and it was immaterial and it was irrelevant, right? Because it was party time. It was, let's have a gala and let's have a fancy dinner and let's get in tux and tails and let's party all the time and that kind of thing. And that's the kind of masonry that they grew up with. So, you know, for us to shock them back into this, no, we're actually talking about, are you muting me?
No, I'm muting.
He muted me. I was typing again.
Clicky keys.
You know, it legitimately scares the crap out of some of these people when we talk about things like death, you know, and mortality, even though they're kind of this intrinsic part of masonry. But again, it goes back to, you've got guys, a whole generation or two of people that came in where it was basically a play, right? And they got to see it and that's cool. And they moved on and they went on to social hour and had a drink or two and partied. Mm-hmm. So I understand. And you just got to put your arms around them and give them a hug and then say, shut up, because this is what masonry is. Yes. In that order. Boom.
Okay.
Done. Let's go.
Next up.
What were you going to talk about, John?
Well, before I was so rudely and kindly interrupted.
Yeah, Dylan.
Good suggestion. It's that good. Another one that I had that I was kind of curious about, again, diving deep into the ritual and why we do things. We explain a lot of the symbols, right? We have ritual that goes into at least a paragraph long detail on every single symbol and emblem that we see as we go through the degrees, except the second half of the third degree. And so we don't have explicit explanations of some things that happen in that second half, which I was validated when I cracked open my copy of Esoterica, written by Albert Pike, and before it got into any of the symbolic Blue Lodge, like explanations and philosophy. Let me just mute Jason there. There we go. There was like 30 pages of
rating. He's rating.
Of Pike is traveling all around, and there's copies of his speeches going, I joined this awesome fraternity. I was told I was going to get explained everything. Why don't I can't get a straight answer from anyone on what happened on the second half. Like it's like you go to like a Christopher Nolan movie and you're like, what did I just watch? Like, and you're like, go Wikipedia and you're like, that didn't help. And you go on like fan sites and you're like, that didn't help.
And then you get into the fringe conspiracy theories and you're like, oh, that really doesn't help.
That's really good. I don't know if it's right, but that's what I'm going with. Which is what led Albert Pike to actually write a lot of his explanation of what he believes. And he says, hey, these are just my interpretations. Like, unless someone better comes along, I'm just going to go with these. This is what I believe these characters and symbols represent.
And that's where we got Esoterica.
Yep. So, good book if you haven't read it.
Good book.
But, yeah. And so, again, I felt
available
validated
on Audible.
When I saw Pike was just like, I don't get it. I don't know. So if no one's gonna explain it for me, I'm gonna try and figure it out myself and share that with the world. So good for him for doing that. But that certainly still exists today, where we explain what this working tool means, we explain what this symbol means, and then we get to the end and we're like, wasn't that nice? That's like a cool ceremony. You're like, yeah, but I don't know what I'm supposed to take away from that. But it's sublime, bro. So
sublime. Well,
sublime.
You do have some in the defense of people who actually care about our fraternity. You've got some awesome brothers that do an amazing job of explaining who those players are in the second section of the Master Mason's degree. I mean, shout out to, if you've not heard this talk, I urge you to do it. Brother Sean Bradshaw, past Grand Master North Carolina. He does a talk about the three ruffians that will knock your hair back. Like hard. Like you go from Jason to this.
Whoa.
It is awesome. So, boom.
So that's mine. That's a contradiction that I still have not had resolved. Yep.
Cool.
But it's a good thing, like, with the symbols we do have, they are consistent, even like across the pond too, right? Like working tools are all the same, and
I mean, I for one really appreciate the beauty of the pencil.
My favorite is the skirt. Yes. Can I tell you how I first learned that people use different working tools?
How did you first learn that people use different working tools, Jeff?
Yes. So I was a new officer, so this is going back quite a few years, and I was gifted a little working tools. Y'all seen those? They're like in the little jewelry box kind of thing.
Little tiny things, yeah.
And I opened it up. I was super excited, and I saw the square and the compasses, and I saw the gauge. I saw all the regular working tools, and then I saw a little pencil. I was like, what the hell is that? And then I saw another little pencil with a little stringy thing around it. I'm like, what the hell is that? And I had to actually go Google that to realize that other jurisdictions use different working tools than we do, which is, again, I don't know why.
Universal brotherhood until we're not.
Sigh. Audible sigh. It is for mini golf. Yes. Suncard is in fuego tonight.
I mean, he's usually
3 under par.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, that is a huge contradiction. Again, if we're going to say the obligations should be similar, then yeah, certainly our tools should be similar. Okay. Well, what is masonry? That's a good one.
What is masonry?
Masonry.
Oh,
yeah. like who are brother?
I've heard that word. I've heard
brother.
That's Brother Medi. Love you, man. Yeah, I've heard
Masonry.
masonry quite a few times in lodges in Virginia, and I don't know what the hell masonry is.
Can we just say the folks watching the live tonight are like on freaking fire?
Yes, the chats are awesome tonight.
They are.
ChatGPT said the ending of the third degree teaches the importance of reading the minutes.
Banhammer.
Because that's what Masonry is all about.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go. What's another one?
It's a bunch of admins banning stupid people.
Yes.
Ooh, so I got another one. So touching on different working tools, why do no two jurisdictions have the same ancient landmarks if they're ancient and they're landmarks?
Yeah.
That wasn't
they're
rhetorical. I
immutable ancient landmarks. They never move. They never
from
change.
time immemorial.
From
or
time immemorial.
Or 1859 when they were first written. But yeah, that's fine too.
I like to say in all of my presentations that Masonry has existed since time immemorial because Masons are terrible historians, and they just figured that sounded good.
That's right. If we're going to gloss over the details, this is not the researcher looking.
Time immemorial, Jedi mind trick.
Adam was a Mason. Oh, really? Adam
and Noah and his sons were all Masons.
And heard the minutes. Adam left Eve and went to go listen to the minutes. And argue about crap.
Cain killed Abel because Abel's green beans were slightly undercooked.
Yeah.
And I have no problem with that if that is the truth.
That is funny.
You're a terrible person.
Yeah, but so again, in all seriousness, right? Like we've had lots of discussion about the landmarks and how they're inconsistent. They've evolved over time. They've been added to, subtracted to. Each jurisdiction may or may not codify them, right? Which gets into the whole point of having landmarks was to promote recognition and harmony. And yet now we've got something that we think there's a baseline from the Conference of Grandmasters in North America that to be kind of recognized in that group, you have to follow the short list, but yet still.
It's like 28 items, right?
Yeah, up to. Yeah, and including.
Yeah. And not all jurisdictions list them. They're not in they're not in the law book. Some jurisdictions have them on their website, I guess, as a suggestion. But some make them part of their code or their law, whatever it's called in their jurisdiction. Mm-hmm. Some don't. So
well, and
pick one.
Also too, many jurisdictions kind of define regularity along the terms of adherence to the landmarks.
Right.
And so now I tell people Freemasonry is like the UN. It's all about who recognizes whom. But there are jurisdictions that like UGLE, which state that the women's Grand Lodge, HFAF, are regular in all things except for that which they admit women. And so, not only are landmarks a moving target, but we also don't recognize, bodies and jurisdictions that may have the same landmarks that we do.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So let's see. I'll go to one more. The conversations about clandestine versus irregular, versus regular versus recognized, right? To build on what you were just saying, Jason.
Can we talk about how you got in trouble for your presentation on George Washington, where you said he was irregularly made Mason?
He was.
You had a very upset set of district deputies dress you down after that.
Not only was he irregularly made, he was also in a lodge that was not chartered by a Grand Lodge, so therefore at the time was also clandestine. So he was both a clandestine and a regular Mason up until the lodge healed itself about 7 or 8 years later.
Yeah. I would call that trailblazing, not clandestineness. Okay.
But it's our boy GW, so that's okay.
I mean, that's the pinnacle of I'll start my own Grand Lodge with blackjack and hookers.
Rules for the
Futurama style.
But not for me. Right. Yeah, so, but back to the regularity, the clandestine, the irregular, you'd think there would be a common definition of those. And yet, still to this day, we'll see brothers fighting on social media of they don't have the specific definitions per their Grand Lodge, right? So each Grand Lodge also interprets those words like clandestine, irregular, etc. differently. Which I find fascinating. From like, can we just agree on common terms?
I don't find it fascinating. Yeah. I find it annoying as hell, because when I get into one of those Facebook arguments that last for hours, we're not even speaking the same vocabulary. So no progress is made in the discussion whatsoever. Right. And it's frustrating as all hell. But to your point, there is this, at least in the United States, we have this bare minimum of landmarks that we're supposed to agree to so that we can play with each other. Why can't we just agree on what's a clandestine Mason versus what's an irregular Mason, and just put that out there? Maybe make it a blog post or something and just throw it on
politics.
Reddit. Write it down.
Politics.
Yes. Codify it.
Put it in a PowerPoint. It'll be real. Jason, did you know that we're all on the level in Freemasonry?
Absolutely. Harry Truman, when he was president, he attended the lodge, and while he was in that lodge, he was on the level with all those other brothers.
Mm-hmm. So if we're all on the level, why do we have so many of them? Jason, take it away. Because I know you love to say that. It's like your favorite line. I was trying to throw you a softball there, but
I know. No, I just swing and a miss. No, that is one of the core tenets of the fraternity, is that Masons, there's no one above the other. But then you get into Masonic affiliated organizations, also known as appendant bodies, and then you're like, he got an invite to the Royal Knights Adept Priesthood of the Ark of the Covenant, Indiana Jones style. Like, what? Why didn't I get one of those? Right? You have invitational bodies. You have honorary degrees, and like, to me, that I get that there is some exclusivity to those, and there's like some draw to the exclusivity of those groups, but to me, a lot of that just seems to undermine some of the core values of Freemasonry. If not, I
agree.
If not in principle, but in practice, right?
And to pull that point, right? Even if it's explicitly said, like, hey, don't call me Grandmaster or don't call me Most Worshipful, just call me brother. It's like, yeah, but I'm not going to do that, right? Because you kind of have that title, right? And so forever, these people will be Most Worshipful, even though even if they truly honestly mean it, then then it certainly it has an air of a different level of Masonry.
That's for you, John.
We do.
Stop! We're gonna get hit with like a copyright strike.
Yeah. So again, but when I was a young Mason, right? I go in a lodge and everyone's like, "Oh, here's this past master." I'm like, "Okay, I don't know why he's a big deal, but like, oh, but past master, you got to listen to him." And in some jurisdictions they have like a whole like seating row for past master, and let each past master get a chance to bring up anything they want in lodge. And it's like, but we're all brothers, right? We're all on the same level, right? Maybe not.
Maybe. Kind of.
Well, not if you've got seating charts for people based on the color of their apron. I would have to argue that point a little bit.
All right, we've got time for one more. Who wants to do one last topic?
Let's do Masonic tattoos.
Let's do Masonic tattoos.
Yeah. Oh.
We'll get you there, buddy. We'll get you there. So, Masonic tattoos. Why they're a contradiction? First of all, love tattoos. Your body is your temple and your canvas. Love it. I definitely have lots of symbology on my arms, but I think why we're bringing
But that
it up
goes
tonight,
against your obligation.
that's exactly right. Right. You shall not do this. There is so y'all can take this clip, whether in its audio form or video form, and play it at lodge next time. I'm about to explain it for all of you. Okay. This is
Make it into a
for
TikTok.
all those. Oh, you know what? We got the TikTok plug in, right? We can bring this out. So
Oh yeah.
here it is. Brother Joe is saying this for everybody. So listen, there is nothing in a Masonic obligation that says you can't draw crap on your arms or your legs or your face or your neck or your belly button, anywhere you want. If it's allowed to be on the sign of your lodge, on the city sign as you're driving into the city, on your monthly newsletter or trestle board or whatever the hell you call it, if it's allowed to be there and McCoy sells it, okay, allowed to go on your body, okay? There's no violating of your Masonic obligation.
You can't put ink on your body, but you can buy it for $9.99 at McCoy's.
Yes, if it's on one of the myriad of lapel pins that you can buy, you can put it on your body, okay?
There you go.
Boom.
Done and done. Joe said it. It's got to be true.
Got to be true.
All right, let's take it on home. So, final question of the night. Of the ones we've talked about, and if we didn't cover it, you can also pull from that Rolodex. Which do you think would be the most bang for the buck? If we got this contradiction resolved and everyone was on the same page, which would promote the most harmony or the most consistency in the Masonic experience?
Well, that's a good question.
I know. I thought of it.
That's a great question.
We'll start with Jason tonight. Which contradiction that we talked about would give us the most bang for the buck?
In terms of what?
Promoting harmony and resolving the disparity. Which would be the best one to fix first?
No, I get what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
He's thinking.
Yeah, I do it from time to time.
These are filler words that I'm using.
Yeah, your face is a filler word.
As you wish.
Thank you.
As you wish.
Oh, these inside jokes never get old.
It's definitely macro aggression, man. We don't go big or go home.
Yeah, like I feel like sometimes folks on the show don't understand. Like, the four of us have spent the better part of the past 10 years in constant contact every single day.
Daily. Yeah.
Daily. So we bring you into our friends group, and we are this mean to each other off camera.
That is true.
Yes.
Yeah, we have the mystic tie that binds us together Thursday nights.
Anytime you want to answer the question, that'd be great.
Anytime I want to answer the question, I'm just vamping. I would say landmarks.
Okay, that's fair.
They are so often used as a foundational underpinning for what is the right masonry and the wrong masonry. Yet they are so often not immutable and different from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. And I think if we can all get ourselves on the same sheet of music, then I think we probably have a good bit less misunderstanding and hostility among jurisdictions. But that would require people to set their egos aside.
What?
I don't think that'll happen.
No way. Yeah, good call though. That's a good one. Joe.
Yeah, he stole mine. Yeah, so I'll pick a different one. So I will say, and this started out as a joke, but I think if we remembered this more and remembered the reason why we are supposed to go to lodge, then things might be better. And I'm going to go with the one, again, that was a joke, that we're all on the level, and that's why there's so many of them. Because again, I don't even know the word for this. We make grandiose and we make important
pontificate
on things that we say over and over again during our Masonic degrees don't matter. We talk about the internal and not the external reasons for why someone becomes a Mason or why they join, and then we just cover these people with gold and glitter and shiny things and lapel pins and medals and bling bling and all this crap. So do we care about the internal or do we not care about the internal?
What about Brother Jose's question?
IDGAF. That is my answer.
Wow.
Yeah, you wear it
in or out,
however you want, Brother Jose. You wear it sideways, perpendicular, at a 47-degree angle, whatever tickles your pickle, my friend. Because, again, yes. So caring about the internal and actually being on the level, as opposed to, 45 minutes of introductions for people that you already know. So
true.
Boom.
It's a good one. Awesome. All right, which is good because that is not the one I was going to pick. I think for me, I would have to say that resolving the whole clandestine versus irregular conversation would actually resolve a lot of what? It would resolve a lot of the conflict, not only across jurisdictional boundaries, but also just recognition writ large across, specifically, PHA, right? We're still trying to work through PHA recognition and how it's sometimes universal, sometimes it's not. And yes, if we could fix that clandestine versus irregular conversation, that would go a long way. And then we wouldn't care if George Washington was clandestine or irregular.
And underage.
He'd just be a brother. Yes.
No, we would just posthumously expel him.
You go ahead and bring that up in AW22. All right, let's do that. Good show tonight. A lot of good conversation, both with us and on the chat. So good times. Let's see you next week. And remember, keep searching for more light. Have a good night.
Wow. Keep searching for more light.